Oh, hello. Hey, did you know that all games are good? All games are good. What am I playing? All right, so this is going to be the last week of the Spooktober videos. I'm calling it, I'm ending it, no more. I'm not done with Alan Wake 2, so it's going to bleed over into December, but this is going to be the last Spooktober video, so at least for 2023. If I'm still making videos in 2024, obviously I will do another Spooktober video, or Spooktober series. But for now, this is the end of Spooktober. But let's start with the Spooktober games, get them out of the way, and then we'll go and do the other ones. So first off, Daymare, 1994 Sandcastle. I beat it. So I mentioned last week that if I were to just sit down and focus on Daymare, I could finish it. And that's what I did. This last weekend, I actually didn't play Alan Wake 2 at all. I only played Daymare. And as a result, I finished it. Sunday night at about 10:30, I finally got to the credit roll, the end of the game. And I was thrilled to be done with it. And it's the main reason why I'm saying I'm going to end Spooktober, even though I'm not done with Alan Wake 2, because I finished Daymare. So now that I've finished it, maybe I should give you some of my final thoughts on the game. Well, generally speaking, I would say I liked it. It was clunky. I mean, it's definitely done by a smaller studio. It doesn't have the polish of something like a Resident Evil put out by Capcom. But you're not expecting that when you play it. You're expecting something that's going to be janky, and it's something that is made by a smaller studio with, smaller budgets and a smaller team. But like I said, generally speaking, I enjoyed it. Let me talk about what it got right. So, there are certain aspects of the game that I really feel like they got right. Resource management. One of the aspects of these classic Resident Evil games is that some of the tension comes from resource management. It comes from the fact that they're very stingy when giving out ammo and items for healing. And so it creates this tension where it's like, oh man, I only have 4 bullets, and I've got a wave of enemies coming at me, and I've got no healing. What do I do? That's what these classic games do. That is really, really important for that retro survival horror feel. This game absolutely nails that. It is very stingy with weapons. It is very stingy with healing items, and you will find that there'll be sequences where it's like you just don't have anything going on. You've got no ammo, you've got no healing, and you've got to somehow get to the next checkpoint and survive. And it's when it works, it really ramps up that tension, and it really does play well. Another thing it gets right is the ridiculous story. You go back to the classic Resident Evils, they had very nonsensical, crazy stories. Big evil corporation building a super soldier program that creates zombies, and then you have these internal machinations of different people doing different things, trying to obtain the technology that very clearly seems like it's a very bad thing for the planet. Kind of capitalism gone amok. Daymare absolutely nails this aspect of it. Its story is ridiculous. It's insane. It's got the same level of twists and turns and nonsensical machinations of its players that just makes it really, really fun. It also, just like the classic Resident Evil games, it has really insane, great world building. especially when you take this into consideration with the game that came out, the sequel, the original game that came out a couple years ago. It really does have an utterly ridiculous and crazy story with it. And it delves into themes of Lovecraftian nightmares and aliens and zombies. I mean, it's like and government conspiracies. Everything is there. It is really, really great. However, for all of the things that it gets right, there's also a lot of things that it gets wrong. And one of the biggest complaints I have about it is it has incredibly cheap deaths. The enemies rush at you, and if they get too close, they all trigger some sort of unblockable attack. The grunts will grab you, causing you to have to do a quick time event to get them off of you, while at the same time taking out huge chunks of your HP. And it's something that's completely unblockable. They can come up from behind. You don't even know that they're there, and all of a sudden, bam, you're in a grapple quick time event, and your hit points are going down. You've got other enemies like these big floaty guys. I think they're called shockers. That if they get too close to you, it's an instant kill. So you can do everything perfectly, and then one of these bastards will teleport in behind you, kill you instantly, and you have to go back to an earlier checkpoint and start it all over again. The cheap deaths were the biggest frustration that I had with this game. And they were way worse than the first game. The first game did not have the instant death that happens with so many of these enemies that happened in this second game. In addition to this, another thing that they get wrong is they have a very convoluted control scheme. By the end of the game, you're getting all of these different abilities with your the rig that's on your back that freezes enemies. You've got things like you can put down mines, little frozen mines that explode and slow people down. You've got a beam that you can shoot out to freeze people. You've got a shield, a frost shield that you can put up. And all of these things are kind of hopelessly bound to bizarre button combinations that, in the heat of the battle, I could never remember. I could never remember how to fire up my shield. Or I would, try to freeze an enemy and wind up actually putting down a frozen landmine instead. So the controls were very convoluted and kind of broken. All that being said, I still really enjoyed it. And if you're looking for a schlocky, campy survival horror game with a very retro feel to it, you could do a lot worse than Daymare. It was pretty fun. But yeah, Daymare. It was good. I enjoyed it. I finished it. Alright, so what's the next Spooktober game I'm playing? Well, I'm still playing Alan Wake 2. But like I said, I haven't actually put a lot of time into it. I played a little bit last week, but then this weekend I didn't play it at all because I was focusing on Daymare. So I don't have too much more to say about Alan Wake 2. I guess I will say one thing. There's recently been some discussion, or discourse, I guess, where there are some prominent YouTubers that are saying they really don't like Alan Wake 2. This has caused other people who really, really love Alan Wake 2 to, stand up and try to defend it. I really, really like Alan Wake 2, but I am not going to stand up and try to defend it to these people. And the reason I'm not going to is because, if I'm honest, I see their point. Alan Wake 2 is not for everybody. This is a strange game. It's not really like Alan Wake 1. It has much more of an emphasis on just kind of exploring and not a lot of combat. I said this a few weeks back, but it really does feel like it's a walking simulator at times. And there are sections where it gets a little dull and boring. It also has a really slow burn. I mean, it's not a good thing when your game really picks up after about 8 hours of play. A lot of people are going to bounce off of it before they get to that. And so, yeah, I guess at the end of the day, I agree. I think Alan Wake 2 is really not a game for everybody. I think that the people who are going to get into it, the people that the game resonates with, they're going to really love it, and they're going to absolutely have fun with it. But for everybody else, I mean, it's kind of a crapshoot. I love it, but you don't have to love it, is basically what I'm saying. I'm not going to think less of you if you don't like Alan Wake 2. In fact, I'm going to totally understand, because, like I said, it's a weird game. It's not for everybody. But I am enjoying it. I wish I would have finished it by the end of Spooktober, but obviously I didn't. I will do my best to finish it soon. It's going to be the big thing that I focus on now that Daymare is gone. So hopefully next week it'll be the last time I talk about it. We'll wait and see. All right, let's talk about the non-Spooktober games. So the first non-Spooktober game is Dark Souls Remastered. Playing it with my friends. We had another couple of days last week where we managed to get everybody on board with playing the game. So we made it further. I have to be honest, I don't remember, at the time of this recording, I don't remember where we are. I think we finished New Londo Ruins and... Oh, I know where we are. We started the lava area, whatever that's called. I forget what the lava area is called. But we went down... I think actually we finished it. I think we went down and beat the tree. I think we're done. So I think we're now going to go on to the library. I think that's where we are. Anyway, we played it. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. We had a couple invaders that were pretty fun to dispatch. Yeah, I don't really have a lot to say. I love the game. I love Dark Souls. I love playing it with friends. Dark Souls. Been playing with friends. It's a lot of fun. All right, the next non-Spooktober game is a new non-Spooktober game, and it's Death Must Die. I'm playing this on Steam. I'm also playing it on my Steam Deck. So, Death Must Die is another one of these Vampire Survivors clones. It's definitely a roguelike that's inspired by Vampire Survivors. It has a lot of the same tropes. But what's different about it is that it does have more of an emphasis on action. You have more of a control. You can make it so your character auto-attacks, but in a lot of ways you don't want to do that because when your character is auto-attacking, they move slower. So it has a more intentional control scheme. You do control your attacks. In addition to that, it has a dodge. So it encourages you to do dodge stuff. I wouldn't say that it is Dark Souls meets Vampire Survivors, but it definitely has some Souls inspirations that it wears on its sleeve. And if you're somebody like me who likes Vampire Survivors and likes Dark Souls, you'll find a lot to like in Death Must Die. I'm not sure I'm very far into the game. I've probably only I think I've maybe put a dozen hours into it, but I haven't completed the area. I don't know if there's a second area. I hope there is, but I haven't completed the first area, and I don't know if there's a second area. So I feel like I haven't gotten very far. I have unlocked quite a few characters, but I think there's more to unlock. I think one complaint I might have about it is that the dialogue is a little weird. The characters kind of talk in, I don't know, almost like chat speak. Like they'll say things like LOL and have little smiley faces in their little emojis in their chat, which is a little weird. It doesn't fit tonally with the game. But whatever. It is what it is. Fortunately, the story is kind of forgettable. So the fact that it's presented in such a strange way doesn't entirely detract from the experience. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. Death Must Die. That's a lot of fun. All right, so the last game, non-Spooktober game that I'm playing this week, I'm playing this on the Switch, Post Void. So in the last, I think it was the last What's in Criswell's Pendulous Mail Sack video, I got this Post Void shipped from Super Rare Games. I got the physical editions for the PlayStation 5 and for the Nintendo Switch. Now, I intend to actually play this mostly on the PlayStation 5, but My Nintendo Switch was free. It didn't have a disc in the drive, or it didn't have a cartridge, I should say, in its in the cartridge slot. So I decided to try out Post Void on the Nintendo Switch and see how it was. I don't know what footage you're going to be seeing here. If it is footage from the Switch game, it's not going to look great. The Switch version is at a much lower resolution than the other ones, and Switch's in-console capture doesn't do well with pixelated games that move very fast. So games like Vampire Survivors wind up becoming kind of a blurry, pixelated mess. And I have a feeling that the footage that I've taken from Post Void is going to have the same problem. So if you're seeing blurry footage right now, it is undeniably from the Switch. Just know that it looks better when you're actually playing it on the Switch. It's just the capture that doesn't look great. Post Void is a roguelike first-person shooter with utterly insane, psychedelic, trippy visuals. It kind of plays like Hotline Miami if it was in a first-person perspective, and if it, I don't know, had kind of a David Lynch kind of otherworldly vibe to it. It's a bizarre-looking game, but it is incredibly fun. It is a very difficult game, though, and I think I've only made it to like the third or the fourth level, but I'm enjoying it, and it's a lot of fun. I don't really have too much else to say about it. It's fun, it's insane, I'm enjoying it a lot. So last night I got a shipping notification for my Polymega, which I pre-ordered 3 years ago, and I'm really excited to get it. The problem is, I also got shipping notification for my Atari 2600 Plus. I also got shipping notification for my Evercade Versus Atomic Edition. So that's 3 consoles that are shipping, and I only have one HDMI port free on my TV, and I only have one slot free in my shelves for my consoles. So, in order to hook these things up, I am probably going to have to decide which of my consoles. I'm going to probably pick 2 of the consoles I have hooked up right now that I don't want to keep playing, or that I don't want to play as much as I want to play these new things, and swap them out for the stuff that's coming. I don't know what they're going to be right now. Probably one of them will be my PlayStation 4. I only have my PlayStation 4 hooked up so that we can still play PlayStation 4 VR games, which I honestly don't play because I get sick, and my daughter kind of forgot that we even had it, so she hasn't played it in maybe a year. So the PlayStation 4 is likely on the chopping block. But other than that, I really don't know what else I can get rid of. Everything else I play. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I know this is very much first world problems. I know I'm just like an asshole who's complaining about this. Oh, look at me. I've got all these video games and I don't know where to put them. I know, I'm an asshole. Fuck me. But that's a real problem. That's a good problem to have, but it's a problem. Anyway, that's it. I got nothing else. See ya.